So this is our trampoline. It's just been starting to cark it. The springs are ripping out and it's getting a bit dodge. So rather than chuck it out, I thought I would make it into a chicken coop because we need a chicken coop. So I've got an idea to make this into like a mobile chicken coop. So long story short, I'm going to flip it upside down, take the legs off, put PVC piping, poly piping loops over, put chicken mesh around that, put mesh across the bottom, wheels on one end, tow hook on the other end. So I've dragged it over to the shed and flipped it over, and that'll be a bit easier to see what I'm going to do. So I'm going to either put poly pipe in or over these loops and up in the air, so like what people do to protect a fruit tree, over to the other side, back and forth, and then up one end I'm going to use these existing bars. I'm going to get these ones and make a little box, that sits up out the back here, and that'll either have wheels on it in that corner, or I'll put some wheels somewhere here in the loop, and that'll be where the hens roost, and they'll make a little door so you can open up and get your eggs out. And at the other end up here I'll put some sort of tow hook here-ish, so we can hook it behind a four-wheeler or the lawnmower or a tractor or a buggy or something. So because the tramp is made out of gal, I'm just using a little arc welder to weld it up. Plus I've only got a little arc welder anyway, so I wouldn't be using a MIGI because I haven't got one. But basically I'm just going to stitch weld along all these joints, there and there, the whole way around, and that'll lock the circle in place, so I can take the netting and the springs off, and then I'll flip it over and I'll do the other side. I've also been mucking around with a couple of pipe sizes, and I think I'm going to go with the 40mm green line. I just cut a bit of a split in it to slide it over the mounts, and I'll probably just put a couple of tech screws through into there to lock it in place. But it looks a bit beefier. I had some 20mm blue line, and I think the green line is going to go a bit better. So yeah, I'll weld these and see how we go. So there's the springs and the liner. I keep them one day in case I want to make a trampoline. Now I'll probably keep the liner and make a shade sail or something, like a kid's shade area or something at some stage, so it'll work well. And there's the loop, ready for me to go around and weld the other sides of these, and then I'll flip it back over to start making the hook section, putting mesh on the bottom. Yeah. So I've been checking out which way to make the box, how to make the box off the back here, and then I just realised that because I wanted to extend the two tubes up here so I could put these last two bits of poly pipe on, and I just realised that if I pop this out and flip it upside down, see that, and I'll just cut a groove out the pipe, and it'll give me my pipe going up to connect to the opposite pipe. It'll also give me, it's got a nice little V in the middle here, so it'll give me a nice little slope for the, put a bit of tin on each side for the water to run off the roof, so it's a little win-win. So I'm just going to go and get the grinder and cut those two little holes out there and weld it on. Welded those on, pointing up in the air like that. It's got that nice little apex there, and that's roughly the pipe's going to work. Going from there across to the other side. So now, I'm going to put these cross pipes going back here, and I'm going to do that just where the tin's going to sit. If the tin was to continue on through here, I'll put the top of the pipe at the bottom of where the tin's going to be. So then just weld it straight to that pole, 90 degrees. So we've got the two lateral posts coming out, and I've just slotted that back piece in, And I also realised why I haven't welded with an arc welder for the last 20 years, and that is because they're god horrible, and that was a nightmare, and I wish I had a MIG. But anyway, that's just me blaming my terrible welds on my welder. As long as it stays together, I'll be happy. Okay, so I've got the lower hoop welded on now, horribly as well. And I've also tacked these end pipe sections in so that it's nice and solid and you can lift the whole thing up on it. So now these last two supports, leg extensions, I'm going to put in the back here, maybe over this joint down to the bottom. That'll lock that in as a cage and provide support when I put the wheels on the bottom. And then I'll just cut this top section down and flip it up to match the roof there. So I wasn't too happy with splitting the poly pipe to get it over there. I thought it's a bit weak and it's a bit keen to pop off. I thought if I could stretch it out, that'd be and slide it over smoothly, that'd be a better system. The trouble is the poly pipe's really, really strong. I've got it on here. What I ended up doing, which is lucky because I used the last two before I used the last two pieces as supports. These existing pipes that step down a bit. So I've got a bit of pipe. I'm going to do this to all of them. It's the toughest job I've had so far. And I'll slot the poly pipe over the end like that. And then grab my little cheapo butane. It's way too dangerous to do while I'm filming, obviously, so I'll just heat those sides up like that, and I push it down till it steps over and comes down about in between 50 and 100 mil, and then I pop it back off that pipe, which is pretty hard, so I just welded a little platform on the bottom so I can stand on it to pull it off. And once it's the right size, I heat it back up again, slide it down over the pipe, and the end result is that's got about 50 mil in there, and it's a really snug fit. It won't need a tech screw. I'll put one in anyway to lock it in. But it's a much nicer fit and I'm much happier with that. So I'll go around and do the other 6. I don't need to do it for the 2 top supports there because they are the little step down bars, which works nicely. Okay, so I've obviously jumped straight to doing the poly pipe because I needed that pole as a bit of a formwork. So what I'm going to do is just put a self-drilling self-tap on each side of the bottom so they can't actually pop off. They're all pretty snug, but just stick a Phillips like that on each side, and they won't come off. Okay, poly pipe's all on. Still got to put a few screws in, but I'm just going to get some big UV cable ties that I got and just squeeze all that top stuff together. Okay, so got all the poly pipe on, got those cable ties at the top. I'm actually really happy with it. It's amazingly robust. You can pick up any bit of pipe and lift the whole unit, so I think that's going to, it'll only get stronger when the wire's put on. But I'm happy with the shape of it. It was always going to be a bit kooky because these 2 curves were starting off a metre higher, but apart from that, I really like it. Looks like it's built for speed. So the 2 back supports are welded on now, and I've got the last remaining leg bit, and I've cut the ends off it, and I've just welded 4 tabs so I can wedge down over that last bar, so hopefully put in place, and then it makes matches up the A-frame on the front there, so when I put the tin on it just rests nicely. So I'll go ahead and tack these 4 bits down here, and then we're good to go with the roof. So I've welded a little angle piece on, and I also just welded a little support across the top here front of the tin. I think the tin would hold itself up fine, but at some stage some nong, I'm sure, would just come and sit in the middle of it and squish our chooks. So I've just put a bar in there. Now I'm going to get the curved bit of tin that I've got left over from building a curvy roofed house and screw it down on there with some roofing tech screws. There's the roof resting in place. I just had to cut a little slit to allow for those posts. I'm probably going to hold off on screwing it right down properly for now, because I think I might want to get inside to do the drawer and panelling, and I might even put the panels on the insides of these posts, because there's not much overhang, so if you put them on the inside there, then they'll be a little more protected from the weather. So I guess that's where I'm up to. I'll start looking at making the box with some plywood. So there's the internal frames. Just going to put straw on either side, and I've gone around and stuck Phillips through, stuck screws through to those frames from the outside, and on the ends here, for the ends of those stubs, I've got a nail gun and popped 75mm nails through there. So it's pretty sturdy, but at the same time, it's extremely light, which was the whole plan. So quite easily lift this whole back area, and we won't need to lift this because this is going to be pivoting on the wheels. So as long as you can lift that other end up okay, should be pretty good to move around. So I'm just going to screw this tin down now. Cool. So roof's on. Just normal roofing screws around there. I took that corner off with a grinder just to make it less deadly, because it's a pretty good stab your leg kind of thing. And these little bits that were folded up, I just bashed them on here and put some short tech screws in here just to get those pointy edges away, so it's less dangerous. Same on that side. That's rock solid. That's about the box done, apart from some paint and some artwork. What I'm going to do, like I mentioned before, is cut a rectangle hole in here and put another bit of tin on top that just goes past the apex so that water can't get in, and put a couple of hinges on there, and then you can open it up from this side, and then I'll do the same diagonally opposite on that side, so you can open up that one and open up this one to get the next side. I don't have any hinges, so I'm not going to cut that hole in just yet, and I'm running out of daylight, so I think I'll just have a quick play with the gate here. We'll maybe start with some wiring, and hopefully I can knock it over in the morning. So we've got a couple of rows of the thin chicken wire on there. Went the thin stuff for a couple of reasons. One, that's all we had lying around, and two, I think it might be easier to manage the taper a bit with the smaller wire. So I've just gone around and wired it on the bottom every, whatever it is, 6 to 8 inches or something like that, and then connected the next one on top. And I'm trying to squeeze the top of it around while leaving the bottom out wide to hopefully take up some of that slack. So when I get to the next row, I'll be able to figure it out. But yeah, basically using cable ties just to tension it, to pull it tight while I wire it together. It's going okay at the moment. So, but if this system of squeezing in the top doesn't work, then you probably won't see this video, because I won't leave it in at the end. Righto, so I've done about 4 rolls there, and I've actually run out of the little wire. So I'm incredibly impatient, so I'm going to go pilfer some wire off that little citrus orchard there to finish it off. Wrapping it around on the pole and squeezing these little chunks out seemed to work quite well for the taper, but I'm sort of running out of space now anyway, so I'm going to get the thicker roll and see if I can't put a strip over, and if I have to, maybe cut triangles and just strap them to each individual pole to keep it sort of neatish. So I'll have a go at that and see if I can finish off the top, and then I've left a hole there to put a gate on it. So there we go. Well, there's all the mesh. There's all the mesh done. I'm sure I'll find little holes as I go, but pretty much all clamped together. And as I mentioned at the start, this is really to keep foxes and quolls out. Anything small is going to get in, so not too stressed about how it goes. So I'm on to the access doors, and I've changed my mind for my 2-door design, and I've just gone for this 1 door. I've got an extra offcut of tin. I've laid it on top and just put 2 hinges there, so I can open the door up like that. So what I'm going to do is cut 2 holes in the back here, so we can get to each nesting side, and then this lid can fold down, cover it up, and I'll just put a latch in the middle here or a latch on each side so it doesn't fly open in the wind or no goannas can get in there. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and cut those out. So there's the 2 holes that will allow access to the nest and the eggs down in there, and when we're done, shut the lid like that and latch it up, and it should be safe from all the critters I've mentioned before. Be happy with that. One thing I'm going to do is run around to all these sharp edges and just flap disc them down, and then on this bit here, which is particularly fraught because you'll be sticking your arm past it, I'll probably put some rubber seed channel or something like that so kids can get in there safely without slicing themselves a new one. There's the latch done. So onto the wheels and the side door, and that's about it. Righto, done the gate. Basically just got a bit of mesh, curved it around in the right shape, made some little budget hinges down here and a little bit further up, and it swings okay on those. And I've also recycled a couple of the springs as that I'm going to use as latches. So basically you shut the gate like this, then lean it over, and then the spring keeps the tension on and matches the top of the gate up to the curve. So looks like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. Probably have to be careful when I move it that edge doesn't catch, but hopefully nothing will get in there. So getting down to the pointy end, I'm going to try and put some wheels on the back of it. And to do that, I've got an old dead lawnmower here, and I'm going to try and rip those wheels off and try and figure something out. If it all goes well, I can incorporate the that height rising mechanism so I can lower it down when it's stopped and pick it up when it goes high. I'll have a think about it and then keep filming. Okay, so I basically just cut the back axle of the lawnmower in half, and I figured out what I'm going to do. So there's a bush here. I'm going to, on the outside, drill a hole that matches that bush, and then on the inside drill a hole that matches the size of that axle. Then we'll push the axle through, and underneath there I'll weld on something that acts like a washer to stop the axle coming back out and keeps it square, and that way the wheel can sit here, can go from basically flush to all the way up in the air, ready to wheel around. So I think that'll work. Hopefully the wheels are up to it, and I'll start drilling. Okay, so I've got the bush dug in there, and I've got a small hole on the other side. So the wheel now can go from quite flush to pretty high, lifting the box quite high in the air. So to lock it in place, I found some nuts that just slot just over that pipe. So I'm going to weld around the edges on the inside, and that'll just lock that in place there, and then I can cut the excess bit of bar off if I can be stuffed. Okay, so the wheels are on and done. This is the original handle off the lawnmower, so I drilled a couple of self-drilling self-tappers just to lock that in at height. So there is flat on the ground, there is up in the air, locked in on the other side. I just welded a bit of flat bar just to mimic that same handle. It's a little harder to operate, but works just as well. So you can see that's up in the air there. Another bit I hadn't mentioned is that I finished off the latch. So there's the 2 holes into where the eggs are going to be, hopefully. Here's the latch, all locking it down securely. I've gone around with a flap disc and taken off those corners and these sharp bits and sharp corners there and the edges of the holes. The gate's all good to go, and I actually had, out of the whole frame, the only bit I hadn't used, apart from tiny little slivers of offcuts and stuff, was the 2 bits, the the two bits that would be pointing up at the back there off the apex. So I've actually joined them together and put a bit of rope through because they're a nice big beefy handle. And you can probably see it's so light, you can just do that one-handed when filming and tow it along. So this is its first drag, of course through a big hole straight away. Just drag it out here in the open. So you get it to a nice flat bit. Just release the handles and you're down where you want it to be. Now something I didn't mention before was that I thought about using the top of the tramp as an actual shade cover. So I've gone and whacked that on and I've just held it in place with some of its original springs. So I've got about 8 of those around there, keeping the tension on and also keeping a bit of tension in the mesh. And providing a bit of shade and a little bit of shelter for the chooks. So that's it. There's my recycled trampoline into a mobile chicken coop. Hope you enjoyed watching it, and good luck making your own if that's what you choose to do. Cheers. So there's some straw for nests in there. And we picked ourselves up the vital ingredient, which is a few chickens. They seem pretty happy now, being a little stressed. So we'll see how we go. All good so far. Just going to put a water feeder in there and flick them some pellets and we're off and running. And this is exactly why we built the chicken coop. He's one of our resident goannas, and I'm sure if the cage wasn't there, you'd be having a bit of a closer look at the girls. He's out of here. Get out of here, Stumpy. Stumpy, go. Yeah, so they're that's a lace monitor. He's about 1.5 meters, I guess. And they very strong claws and they're pretty good at digging and opening things. So. Hopefully when we're not around, he still can't get in.